after watching the first episode. I was ready to write this entire show off. But somehow, something in me just told me I had to continue. I had to see how deep the rabbit hole went. And honestly, I really don't know what to say about this thing. After sitting on this for about a week or so, I have decided to narrow things down to like 4 elements that I want to talk about when it comes to this review: the setting, the plot, the characters, and the ending. So let's talk about the setting. I honestly wasn't sure what they were trying to do here. It felt like they were actually trying to take Nevermore and make it normal. When it comes to the color palette, and the one thing I love about Barry Sonnenfeld's version in the movies, as well as Tim Burton's, they really do a great job in differentiating what's considered to be the norm and what's considered to be abnormal. And it's usually the changes in color. There was far too much color in the abnormal and kind of a little bit of color to a little bit of not color in the normal. What I mean by this is the blue and black standouts from each of the students didn't make any sense to me, because Wednesday kind of wore the black and gray. What made her different from everyone else? I don't know why. In my opinion, it should have made it black and gray for everybody, but made their personality stand out, make them different. That's what made Tim Burton and as well as Barry Sonnenfeld's version so great, because even though it was very macabre, very dark, their personalities made them colorful. And I wish they did that with the students in Nevermore. When it came to the normal town, I'm just going to call it that because I can't remember the name, there were colors, but then of course you had your solid colors there. It felt like that everyone had the perception of normal, but then not be so normal in their personalities. They did the town right, but they didn't do Nevermore right. And it did bother me a little bit. And especially when it came to Enid, they just made her colorful for the sake of being colorful, just to make her different from her pack. I wish they made her the same uniform wise, to make her black and gray, but we find out how she is personality wise as time goes on, that she's a lot colorful than we see her to be. That would have made it a lot more drawing for me. That would have gave me a lot more of a draw for me to Enid than how they did it here. It felt a little bit too Disney-esque. It felt like watching something like Zombies or something that Disney made in a series that just can be a bit too saccharine. That's just me, honestly. But let's move on to the characters. Raul Julia will forever be one of the best Gomez Adams in movies like ever. I don't think anyone can replace him, but I can see a better replacement than Luis Guzman. Luis Guzman seems like more of a parody than of Gomez Adams and actual Gomez Adams. There was really no charisma for him. There was really no, nothing that draw me to his personality. It just seems like he was more of a joke, literally. And he was definitely out of Morticia's league. In the movies with Raul Julia, it felt like he was in her league, that they felt like they were connected, that they were meant to be together, and that their personalities just worked. I did not see it here. It just made me feel like that Luis Guzman was that dude that you would choose after, he would be the last guy chosen on the kickball team, and the pretty captain chose him out of pity. That's just what I got from that. But I think it was a gross miscast for Luis Guzman, and it would have made more sense to have Johnny Depp or someone else in his place than Luis Guzman being Gomez Adams. That's just my opinion on that. They did a great job when it came to Captain Zeta Jones playing Morticia Adams. It made sense. She was very statuesque. She had a bit of, she kind of seemed a lot more like Morticia, and she was absolutely stunning, just like how Angelica Houston was very stunning at that time. And I know that I think for the first before the first movie came out, they said that you should have asked Cher, but but yeah. And I know that Angelica Houston did look a lot like Cher, but I'm not going to get too much into that. But anyhow, they did a great job in choosing her as Morticia, even though she had more of a very feminine element to her. And I think Morticia's always had a feminine element to her. Even though for Angelica Houston, it felt more like out of worldly that she was kind of like floating on air at times. But anyway, I'm diving too much into that. When it comes to Jenna Ortega being Wednesday, she did an amazing job being Christina Ricci turned up to 12. Because Christina Ricci, she was the one that made that character famous. And you can kind of see that there's a lot of elements of Christina Ricci in Jenna Ortega, which is nothing wrong with that at all. But the only problem is that Jenna Ortega's character is not very likable. While Christina Ricci's character did have an involvement. Like, she evolved a lot in the second movie. The fact that she ended up liking a guy that, of course, he was asthmatic, but he was somewhat more like her. You would never really know until the small scenes that we had with them, you got to know him a little bit more, and she started to like him. And that was her first boyfriend. You saw her actually gravitating towards people that was more like her. That here, you don't really see that. You had a lot of outcasts that was somewhat like Wednesday, but she did everything she could to push them off. And it didn't really make any sense. Plus, they never really explained why she hated her family that much. Just because she was a teenager, which I think is kind of lazy. But they could have done a lot with her to evolve her into a more, I guess, evolve her organically than what they did here. It's not that Jenna Ortega's acting was bad. It's just how her character was written wasn't good. At least that's just my personal opinion on that. Now, let's get into the plot. The plot started off a bit weird. How she started, she went to a school called Nancy Reagan High School. And yes, I know that could have been a satirical scene. Even though that reference is probably 40 years out of date. And no one in 2022 knows who Nancy Reagan is. I would be honestly shocked if they do. But I guess it's a satirical way of saying how white bread that high school was and how Wednesday didn't fit in. But one thing that bugged me was how a complete simp Pugsley was. He was a simp. I'm sorry, he was. But let's be honest. He's a sadist. If you can tie him up and use an apple as a ball gag, he will enjoy it a lot more than you think. Like, he will enjoy it way more than you would think he would. Instead of him being scared, he would probably have to change his shorts. That's all I have to say about that. But the fact that this girl had committed attempted murder on 2 guys and didn't go to jail. She had to change schools for that. There was 0 consequence at all for anything that Wednesday has done, and it didn't make you want to root for her. I'm sorry, it didn't. It didn't make you feel like there was any stakes. She tried to hobble a guy towards the near end of the series, and she committed attempted murder at the beginning of the series. No consequence whatsoever. But that led her to Nevermore after she got kicked out because somehow the parents did not want to commit any charges, even though their son has been castrated by a piranha, which makes 0 sense to me. She ended up going to Nevermore, which it should have started off being at Nevermore. But then a whole murder mystery things ensued. A mysterious monster came out of the blue, and they had to find out who the monster was, as well as who let the monster out. And I'm just like, them doing that and how they did it was just, it was so much to a cartoonish Disney degree. It was sad. It didn't make Wednesday look great. It made her look like an idiot throughout every single episode. I didn't feel bad for her at all because she wasn't very likable. She was surrounded by an idiot cast of people like that wanted to be around her and help her. And I'm like, why? She just, either or. The thing is, the plot just started going down further when it came to the murder mystery. And the fact that she had visions, unexplained visions out the blue, was annoying. Because a lot of shows are doing that. They give them powers and not explain how the powers came to be. Because we've never seen this in the series before. Can we at least explain how it happened? It would have been nice. But anyway, I'm going to get off of that and go towards the ending. The ending was not very satisfying at all. Especially the last scene or next to last scene where Wednesday got stabbed. I'm like, huh? And how she was healed. I'm like, oh gosh. Why? Like, why y'all doing this? Are you guys running out of ideas? The ending went on way too long. And it should have ended a lot sooner than that. But this show, after it was all over, I didn't feel satisfied. I didn't even feel angry. I just felt like I was there. I felt like I committed myself to watch a show that I did not care that much about. That's kind of what I got from it. And I'm hoping in season 2, they at least try to do something a lot better than what they did with season 1. Because the murder mystery element just dragged it down a lot. Because it didn't make her look smart. It didn't really do a good job of making her stand out as a character. Or as a personality wise. It was just there for me. But I really do want to hear y'all's thoughts about this. What do you guys think about Wednesday? Did you enjoy it? Were there elements that was really annoying for you? Because that was a lot for me. And I am a big fan of the Addams family. And I'm just a type of person that would like to see a lot of growth, but want to see it natural instead of being forced. But that's just me personally. I want to hear what you guys think. Leave in the comments below. Let me know how you feel, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.